Hello and welcome back to my little cozy corner of YouTube. Today we are going to be talking about yarn, this yarn I have in front of me. We're going to be talking about an upcoming knit along with Joji Locatelli, and I'm going to show you what I've made in the past from her patterns. We're going to talk about the patterns that I picked out for the knit along, the details of the knit along, and we're going to look at yarn that I've pulled that I'm probably going to be using and I may need help deciding. So if any of this interests you, grab a cup of whatever, grab a project, sit back, relax, and let's get to discussing. So if you are new here, my name is Kim and I'm the host of this channel, and I am really happy to have you join me today because I love talking about yarn. And I love talking about knitting and crocheting in the fall. I'm so over summer. I'm enjoying knitting my little wardrobe for my dolls, but I'm ready to dive into something with more depth, I guess you can say, and really have my yarn slip through my fingers and kind of binge knit on some goodness and just kind of slow down and experience the seasonal change because I love fall and winter. That is where I'm at my most joyful self, and I'm just ready for the summer to be over. But I saw that Joji Locatelli is having a worldwide event where knitters come together and we work on her designs all at one time, and I think she does a couple of prizes. I'm not sure, but I don't think I've ever done it though. I know she's done it for many years, but I have knit several of her patterns. So I'm excited to kind of get back into this and get back into the slow flow of really enjoying what I'm knitting and just kind of having a more mindful knitting session, I guess you can say. I do have some notes that I'm going to be referencing so I can give you the correct information. Joji Locatelli has a very large knitting library, and this knit along really lets you explore that because you can knit any of her designs. It doesn't matter how big or how small. Each one of these designs can be entered into the knit along and be eligible. And I think that's really awesome because she has some hats and then she has a ton of sweaters. If you've never heard of her patterns, I'm going to link all of her stuff down below. Please go check them out because I just love her stuff. So I'm not affiliated with Joji Locatelli in any way, but I am going to go over some of the highlights of the knit along with you. I'm going to link the Facebook page and post where she went over herself, and you can reference that at any time and read over those rules and regulations on your own. But the gist of it is, it's been going on since 2011. It's a 3-month long knit along, so it starts September the 1st and then it ends on November the 30th. You have to sign up for it though from August the 15th through August the 30th. If you do not sign up for it, then you're not eligible to win any prizes. And to sign up for it, there is a Google form. I will link that down below for you as well so you can have quick access to that. But you have to go in the Google form and you have to pick out which pattern that you're going to make. And then it asks you about your yarn choice that you're going to make. You can change your yarn choice, but you have to do this for every entry that you're wanting to do into the knit along. So I signed up for, I think, 3. I'm hoping to do 1 a month. So if you don't do them, it's okay. But if you do not sign up for them, then you can't get credit for them. Does that make sense? I hope that makes sense. All of her patterns are currently 25% off with a special code that is in that post, and I'm going to put it right here on the screen for you. I own a couple of her patterns. I own several of her patterns because when I test knit for her, she gave me a bunch of patterns, which I thought was pretty awesome. And I know a lot of people have some conflict about test knitting, but I'm going to tell you, I really enjoyed test knitting for her. She was a pleasure to work with, and it was a lot of fun. It was one of my first test knits, and it was a great experience. Oh, and there is a hashtag, which is hashtag Joji Fall KAL 2025. She asked you to use that if you're using it on social media and posting, and I'm also including that hashtag in my project pages. And I think there are a lot of the knit along meat and potatoes talk about it is happening in her Ravelry group, and I will link that down below as well. side note, this candle that I lit at the first of this video is really, really good. This is Campfire S'mores. It's from Dollar General. This thing smells delightful. Just wanted to share that with you. $1. It smells so good. And it's definitely getting me in the fall knitting craze season, and I'm enjoying it. I am going to be referencing my notes for this section because I want to talk about the projects that I have made from her patterns. I have 3 shawls to share with you. One of them I don't physically have anymore because I knit it as a shop sample for an indie dyer. So the indie dyer that I knit for was Knits for Comfort, and I knitted on her old Sparkles base in the color Blue Rasp Ice. I think I even have a technique on my channel about doing the drop stitches or elongated stitches where I'm working on that shawl, and I really enjoyed making that shawl. That pattern is a lot of fun. There's a lot of drop stitches, so it's not for the faint of heart. It is kind of scary when you're purposely dropping your stitches, but it makes this really neat detail on the pattern. I kind of felt sad about sending it to the dyer. I kind of wanted to keep it a little bit because it was so pretty and it was just so airy and so flowing. And on that one, I used 371.5 yards of yarn, 85 grams of fingering weight yarn. And the pattern calls for 420 to 440. So I'm pointing these things out to you because I know personally, if I'm new to a designer or new to a pattern that I've never knit before, sometimes you get worried that you're not going to have enough yarn, but a lot of these designers will give a little bit of buffer. So they'll put like a number of yardage that you're supposed to have, but very rarely are you going to need that entire yardage of yarn. And I kind of like that little buffer because it makes me feel a little bit better if I have closer, you know what I'm saying? Like if I feel like if I have more options, if I don't have to have the full whatever they're asking. So that storm shawl I actually knit in 2022, so a couple of years ago. This one was a little bit older. This one I knit in 2020. And this is the Odyssey shawl by Joji Locatelli. And I knit this as part of the Malabrigo Knit-Along. I knit it in Malabrigo Dos Trias, which is a DK weight yarn. I used a total of 191 yards of the Hollybrook, which is the purplish color, and then I used a total of 214 yards of this darker color, which is Paris Night. I forgot to mention the Anniversario colorway. I used 187.4 yards of it, so there was a total of 3 colors in the Odyssey shawl. But this was a really, really easy going shawl to knit, and I just love the detail that has on it. So you can see the pretty picot bind off, and the eyelets are just gorgeous. But I love how this thing wears because of its wingspan. And I wear this thing a lot. And the yarn has held up beautifully. It's so, so pretty. And typically I wear my shawls like this. I'll wrap it around in the front. I'll wrap it around there. And I'll just kind of wear it just like this. So all the little gorgeousness can be seen. So to give you an idea about the buffer on this one, the one that I made, mine, I used 600 yards of yarn, and I did the entire thing. I didn't skip any rows or anything. And the pattern calls for 675 yards. So it was like a 75 yard buffer that she allowed. So just keep that in mind when you're looking for yarn for her patterns. You know, you may not have to have the exact amount. As long as you're pretty close, you're probably going to be all right. And you can always substitute a little bit with a different color if you need to. But I wouldn't let the exact yardage be a major stressor for you. So the next pattern I want to talk about of hers is the All I Want shawl, and this is the one I actually test knit for her way back in 2016. So I had only been knitting for roughly 2.5 years or so when I knit this, and when I chose to test knit a Joji Locatelli pattern, which was pretty crazy, but I loved every minute of it. I really loved knitting this shawl. And you can see there's a lot of lace, and I was just like, you know what? I'm going to do this. And I did. And I really learned a lot. You know, I made a couple of errors, and I made myself drop down and learn how to fix them. This pattern actually called for Aran weight yarn, and I did not have all Aran weight yarn. And so I messaged her and let her know, and she said worsted yarn was fine. So I was like, okay, I'm good to go. But then I needed a main this color, and I got it approved, but I was able to use DK weight yarn, which is the Babs Yalza. It's a light worsted. You can't tell the difference really. The only thing you can really tell the difference in is this Tosh Vintage is a little bit denser, but it still worked out well. But so this colorful blue is Miss Babs yarn in Yalza, and it's Coffee Break. And then this gorgeous mustard is Mad Tosh Vintage in the color Candlewick. It's by far one of my favorite golds that is made into a yarn. It is just so luxurious. I've used this on several projects. And then the other color, this cream, is Malabrigo Rios and the color Natural. But I love how this shawl came together. It is very large. It has a very large wingspan as well. Not quite as large as the Odyssey, but it still is super pretty. And even though it's a triangle shawl, it's not too overly deep. I think sometimes triangle shaped shawls can get a little weird deep. Like they can get a little deep. And I think this one's like the perfect depth to width ratio. But this was a really fun knit. That detail right there was just so much fun as a newer knitter. To give you the specifics, on the natural color I used about 157 yards, which is 75 grams. On Coffee Break I used 106 yards, which is 43 grams. And then on the Candlewick I used 108 yards, which is 54 grams. Altogether for this project, I used 372 yards. Her original design, this is all one color, and she just did this last panel as a different color. But when I saw it, I wanted to do mine all different colors. And I love it. I love how it turned out. As we're going into the patterns, I am going to talk about the ones that I have chosen. There is a little bit of information, though, that I want to add before we talk about this. On her Ravelry group, there's going to be 2 pin posts. The top one is currently the pattern chat, where you can go talk about the patterns that you're choosing and all kind of KAL fun. And then the second one is like the must read. It is like the fresh off the press information, as it were. And one of those, post number 4, you need to check out. So there's going to be themes. They've come up with this kind of like theme thing to get you knitting in all season long and getting active. And so there's 3 different challenges. The first one is going to be whip month. However, let me just say that whips cannot be done in this knit along. Everything has to be started no earlier than September the 1st. If you're knitting a sweater, you can do a swatch, but the project has to be started on September the 1st. So for the month of September, I'm probably going to knit a shawl. And I'm going to talk about that in a second. The September whip challenge is just to work on any works in progress that you have and get those off your needles. They're not to be counted as far as the knit along, but you can share them in the group, I think. The October challenge, this is where I'm going to like kind of double dip in my pattern choice and in the October challenge. And it's also my birthday month. Just saying, I'm pretty excited. It's like the perfect month to have a birthday. But the October challenge is cast on any project that uses more than one color, start fresh on October the 1st, no sooner, and finish by October the 30th. These projects need to be entered in the form in advance. That's why you have to go in and pre-register all your patterns. And so this is the month I'm going to be knitting a KAL. And I'm thinking I may use this color pack to knit my my KAL. Although I kind of wanted to do it a little bit more fall. I may have to stash dive. I don't have that much DK weight yarn though, I don't think. Well, no, there's that shelf up there. I may. Because then I'll have to be breaking in a whole skein, and I don't really want to do that. So I'm probably going to do this. And that way I can just use these little bits and bobs for something else. The November through December challenge is going to be a mystery challenge. She's actually creating a new one skein mystery pattern for all of us to knit in December. So it's going to be a new knit along in December. And as part of this knit along, if you can get the pattern for $3 if you participate in this knit along. So do this knit along, get like a coupon or discounted pattern for December knit along, which is a great deal, I think. And that's how they're going to keep you knitting all throughout the season, September through December. And I'm here for it. And she said you do not need to enter this project in the form because obviously it's not coming out until December, and this knit along ends on November the 30th. Now let's talk about the patterns that I have kind of chosen for me for this knit along. I've chosen ones that I've already owned because I own them, so I might as well make them. Ones that I have not made before and ones that I've wanted to make. And I've already submitted all three of the ones that I am going to talk about, and I may be adding a fourth one. I don't know. We shall see. I have no issues knitting a 400-yard sweater in a month. Not sweater, a shawl. So I might try to do 4 patterns. Talking to you is kind of making me realize I kind of want to try. I don't know, but I'm definitely going to be doing 3. I'm going to be doing 1 a month. So the first one I'm going to be knitting in the month of September is going to be the long shawl. This is this really cute shawl that she's wearing in this photo. This is a one skein shawl that utilizes fingering weight yarn. Her estimate is 400 yards, 440 yards, but as I've shown you before, I'm not going to worry about getting 440 yards of yarn. If I have 400 yards of yarn, I'm probably going to consider it good. Even if I'm close to 400 yards, I'm going to consider that yarn. It calls for a US 7 needle. So before we start talking about yarn, I wanted to turn on a little bit better overhead light because it was giving me a very yellow hue on my yarns, and I want you to see them in all their glory. So these are the 3 that I'm deciding on for the long skein shawl. They're all very, very pretty, but I'm kind of leaning to one of these, but I want to get your opinion on them. So this one is cutthroat yarn. This is a yarn that I've got many, many years ago from a yarn crawl here in Alabama. I went to, I can't remember how many stores. I think it was like 12 to 14 stores. I was gone for 18 hours. It was so much fun. It like to kill me. I would do it again in a heartbeat. But this is cutthroat yarn, and it is a sock weight yarn. The color is called Sprinkles, and it's 75% superwash merino, 25% nylon, 100 grams, 425 yards. But I think I thought about this yarn because it reminded me of the yarn that she used in the sample, which is fine. I mean, if I wanted to make kind of similar, I think it would kind of give me the same look because it's a very, very similar dye technique. However, then I thought about this yarn. It is September, so it's kind of approaching that fall-esque season, and this just kind of has fall vibes for me. It's very jewel tone, purple. There is glitter in this one, a gold stellina. It's so pretty. This is from one of my older favorite indie dyers, Up in Yarns. When she first started dyeing, she did a yarn club, and she sent out a yarn and a couple little secret things inside of it, and I love that, and I got this from it. It's called Glitz and Glam is the base, and the colorway is In a Week. This is a 75% merino, 20% nylon, and 5% stellina, 438 yards. So definitely plenty of yards there. Look at that gold stellina. But I love this little blips of colors. The only thing I worry about this is I may get some weird pooling because of the way that yarn is dyed. And so it being a garter shawl, it's going to help from that happening. It's going to kind of help reduce that anyways. but I really am kind of debating if I want to. It's a lot of color variation. I don't know. But that is one of my options. The other option is this yarn that I've had. I don't even remember where I got this. I think I got this from a D-stash, but this is Collage Yarns Happy Halloween color, and it's based off Harry Potter. I do know where I got this. I got this from a yarn store in Birmingham, and this is called the Deathly Hallows. So from Harry Potter, it's fingering weight. It is 100% fine superwash American merino wool, spun and hand dyed in the USA, and there's 420 yards. I think I'll still be fine on the yardage, but I thought this would be super fun considering it is a knit along for September for me, and this will be going right into October, and it's my birthday month, and it starts off fall, but I just think that kind of gives me some fall vibes. I don't know. I kind of like this one. So I also have this one that I'm contending and thinking about knitting with the long skein, and this is a black yarn. This is actually Black Pearl. It is a Dream in Color smushy base, fingering weight, kettle dyed. I think it might be a contender as well for that whole fall Halloween vibe for me, but I don't know. I definitely have enough yardage. This is, I forgot the exact yardage. 400 yards. I think I'll be fine. But it's like the lowest yardage one. There is a lot of gray and black, but I think it may be pretty. I don't know. I'm still really drawn to the Harry Potter though. But that's also a contender. So for the one for October, the one that you want to use multicolors for, I'm going to be doing her Blurry KAL. This is a DK weight KAL. It utilizes 460 yards of yarn, and thinking this would still work very well, although it's not the most fall-esque colors to be knitting on in the month of October, and that kind of makes me sad. And that's kind of where I'm having this questioning of yarn choice, and it makes me want to go stash dive some more and possibly break into some more yarn. So I'm gonna have to think on that one and see if that's what I want to do. It's a huge possibility. 3 colors from Babs Yarn. So you can see them out of the bag. They're very, very, very pretty. So this is By the Sea. This one is In the Meadow. And then this one is the Black Watch, which is actually like a dark green. So those are what I'm currently more than likely going to be using for that. And I'm going to link these projects down below for you in case you're interested in them as well. So the last pattern that I'm going to do for the month of October is going to be the Raffia's hat. Now this is a free pattern, so if you're wanting to join this but maybe you're unsure about buying a pattern at this time, this one's free. You can go ahead and sign up, link this into your sign up, and then you can have an entry into the make along if you finish it. This one is worsted weight yarn, and it uses 150 to 190 yards. And carrying with my fall theme, because I'll be knitting this in the month of November, I'm probably going to knit this and this. This is Barocco Vintage. I love their yarns. I actually knit a sweater out of this. This is one of my favorite colors. I think it's something pecan maybe. No, it's Chana Dell. I wrote the tag right there because they only put color codes and you have to look up the colors on their website to find the color names. It drives me crazy when yarn companies do that. But this is color number 5192, and it is a 50% acrylic, 40% wool, 10% nylon. And there is, I forgot how many yards in this thing. I think 217. But it's the last one I have of this from knitting that sweater that I knit, and I may use it, but that way I can get an entry into the make along, and I get to use up this random one skein of yarn that I have, so it's a win-win. So one of the major things I'm most excited about this knit along and why I'm so giddy and why I wanted to come out here and record this with you, it's not because of the patterns themselves or the fact that there's a chance that I can win a prize. I mean, that stuff's cool and all, but it's not the major focus. For me, it's really having that connection again with my yarn, where I feel like I just have this pull to knit and crochet and be creative like every day. It's like a relationship, and I feel like I've kind of gotten distanced from that relationship, and it makes me very, very sad. It's very sad knowing how you felt when you have that, when you have all that creative energy that you just want to sit and knit for hours and hours and hours, and how it's completely opposite when you don't have that pull. And I always say that I am creative because of, and this is going to go back to my faith, but I'm creative because of my Heavenly Father is the most creative of them all. And I get that creativity from Him. And so I feel like when I don't have that connection to yarn and like my creative outlets, that I'm kind of lacking in a relationship with Him, because it's almost like a form of worship to me. It's like a meditative time where I can slow down and just focus on the yarn and relax and just kind of go into this little meditative binging trance, so to speak, and then get a project or a product in return. And I'm just ready to get back to that. I really, really am ready to get back to that. That's where I am as far as preparing for the Joji Locatelli knit along. I'm very excited and hopeful and ready to get started. I hope you are as excited as I am. If you are, let me know down below. If you've knit any of her patterns before, let me know also down below. And if you are going to join this knit along, any progress that you want to share with me in the community, you can do that on my community tab. It may be called post tab. But if you're on mobile, you can go onto there as a community member. Anybody, it doesn't have to be like one of my yarn cakes, just anybody that's subscribed to my channel. And you can actually leave a photo of the project that you're working on for me to see, as well as the other people in this community. And that is super awesome that YouTube has given us that opportunity to help build our community even more. And that's all I got. Thank you so much for hanging out with me this evening and navigating this yarn with me and trying to work through what I want to use for what pattern. I cannot wait for this knit along to get started. I'm so ready. But until the next time, I hope you have a great, great week. Happy day, happy yarn, happy knitting, happy crochet. Hugs, love, and all the fluff. And I will see you in the next one. Bye.